My name's Phillip Garcia. Gosh, if there are any parents on this chat, or any parents that are going to watch this, I just want you to know, if your student or your kid is wacky and zany and weird and likes to be strange in the classroom, and likes to just be kind of goofy, you may have an actor on your hands. Okay. First off, I wanted to say that bless my parents' heart, man, that they they had to put up with me and my kind of antics as a child, and I wasn't always the easiest to corral, and I think they took notice of that, and they're like, wow, okay, so he feels super comfortable kind of doing his own thing, and jumping up on stage, and doing little things here and there. So just heads up on that. For any actors that are on this particular chat, I think if you want to become a working actor in this business, first off, it's a tough business to get going in, but I just want to let you know, because you are here right now listening to someone who is also pursuing an acting career. I want you to know that you just being here, like you set yourself up to do well. You're making the choice to move in the right direction, right? So good for you. That's one of the first steps, is that you have to kind of put the right energy for yourself in the right places, right? And we'll get to that. So good for you. That's first things first, right? I think a lot of people always ask me, they say, well, Philip, how did you get started? How did you know you wanted to become an actor? And I think I knew from a very young age. I knew from maybe about maybe about 8 or 9 years old. My first play was in the 3rd grade. And this goes along with my experience, right? So how do you gain experience in the world of acting, right? First play was in the 3rd grade. It was good. It was called Good Books. God, shout out Laurelwood Elementary up in the Bay Area. Crazy. The Good Books. And in 4th grade, I was in Mr. Popper's Penguins. I got to play Mr. Popper and Mr. Popper's Penguins. My next, in the 5th grade or the 6th grade, I was Mowgli in the Jungle Book. And in 7th grade, I was on the drama team in junior high school. In 8th grade, I hosted the talent show. In 9th grade, I was on the improv team. In 10th grade, also on the improv team, did any musical known to man. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, where I currently am didn't kind of just, appear. It's not, our industry is not an overnight thing. It is a marathon, right? So I think for all you young people who are excited about being on shows like Nickelodeon and the Disney Channel, I would say take your parents' advice on how to proceed and go to these appointments and auditions. And back in the day, we used to call print auditions go-sees. If you're going on print auditions and things like this, just take your parents' advice. I think I took my dad's advice. My dad was a huge support system for me. He got me involved in commercial acting class when I was maybe 12 years old, and he would drive me from San Jose to San Francisco, every Sunday, and I would do this commercial acting class, and it was all about kids being able to jump on, or young adults rather. I think that's more beneficial. We would jump on camera, and we would watch ourselves back, and we would understand how we can manipulate our face and how we feel on set. I think that is the most important thing for anyone, in class or not. I think we should be kind of doing the work. So on our own is what I mean. So that's one tip, kind of pro tip that you can do is kind of film yourself at home. You know, like literally set up your iPhone somewhere. If you want to do film acting, you gotta put yourself on film to really know if that's something you want to pursue, right? So it's a really exciting time to be in the industry. First off, you know, people are working from the age 10 all the way to 80 now. So this is a long career that you can really make a living at. But in order to get to where you want to go, you kind of have to set yourself up to succeed. And that's, you know, getting into class. You being here at Tippity Top, huge, because you're going to get so much experience being on stage and learning from great people who know what they're doing, right? So good for you for even being involved in this live. Good for you for being involved in Tippity Top as well. I think I took my dad's advice in terms of I wanted to be a Nickelodeon superstar. I wanted to be a Disney superstar when I was 11, 12 years old. And my dad was a huge proponent in saying, you know what, son, let's finish high school. Then you can go to college, get your college degree, and then you can pursue your acting career. And I did that, and it worked out. So after college, I got an agent right out of college. From our showcase, I got about like 3 agents that reached out to me after seeing me sing and act and doing things on stage via my college. By the way, shout out to AMDA in Los Angeles. If you guys are looking for a great conservatory type school, I think AMDA did a really good job in kind of setting me up to do well right out of school. It's like a 9-to-5 job. We're waking up crack of dawn. We're going to class. We're in class from you know, as early as 8 a.m. sometimes, 8 a.m. to, you know, 6 p.m. we're rehearsing, you know. So if you're looking for a school that is just really setting your mind, it's more of a mental thing being in a school like that, because, you know, it's day to day, right? You're kind of just completely engulfed in the industry. You know, I was in the musical theater program initially, and then I switched over to the acting program. But you know, dancing, I took dance class too. I took lyrical dance. They just mentioned lyrical dance. I was definitely in a lyrical dance type class, and you know, I learned a lot from school, just being in a school like that. So right out of school, I got an agent, and you know, just so happened that agent went to AMDA. So he was a friend of mine from AMDA, and you know, he was a few years ahead of me, but I had seen him around campus. So it goes with that saying, it's all about who you know, right? You hear that time and time again, but it's all about who you know and who you continue to know. So it's, yeah, it's one thing to know someone, but it's another thing to build a relationship with that person, and you know, surround yourself with people who are kind of the same as you, yeah, that want the same things as you, that want to move forward in a career like this, which is a tough one. You know, it doesn't happen like that. You kind of gotta, it's stepping stones, right? So you're at Tippity Top. That's the first stepping stone. Let's see. I'm seeing people put stuff in the chat here. Questions until the end. Please hold your questions till the end. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's great. Anyway, so I think my first professional job that I did was a Volkswagen commercial. That was years ago. 2011 was my first national commercial that I did, and I think the common misconception in the commercial world is that, you know, it kind of builds your career up. I'm not one to say that the commercials build your career up. In fact, on my resume, I wish I had a resume handy right now, but on your resume, it doesn't actually list any of the commercials that you do. When you do these commercials, what you do is you put current conflicts upon request, right? So the only thing that potential casting directors and production team people, ad agencies want to know when you're auditioning for a commercial, they want to know if you have any conflicts. Like, say for instance, you worked a Coca-Cola commercial. They want to know, Coca-Cola wants to, or if you're auditioning for Pepsi, Pepsi wants to know if you worked for any other sodas. That would be a conflict, right? That would be a conflict of interest. So the commercial world for me is how I pay my rent. I think for me, if there's any part of the industry that is solely based on the fiscal part of it, the commercial world is about, for me, making my income, right? So though it is super fun and you get to, a lot of times do some kind of wacky, silly things on set, and being on set and just the energy that you get being around people who are also doing the same thing as you. I think the reason for doing commercials for actors is to, make some money, is to really pay for their health insurance. I think that's the biggest part. But I think the common misconception is that commercials can push your acting career forward, when in actuality, technically, it doesn't have a whole lot to do with the theatrical world, which is the TV and film world. That world is something I'm still learning, and something I would love to do more of, right? So I get people ask me a lot, like, Phillip, how have you gotten to where you currently are? And I'm though that's flattering, I think, wow. So I just think it's interesting, because I think what's a good example of this is that, okay, here's a good example. My fiance wants bangs. She wants to cut her hair so that she has bangs, right? And I'm thinking, like, honey, so you want bangs, but once you have the bangs, aren't you going to want like longer hair after a certain period of time? So I guess what I'm saying is, and she agreed. She says, yes. But as human beings, I feel like we all are in search for something, right? We all start at point A, and we all want to get to point B. But it's like, what do you do in the in-between that sets yourself up to succeed? I guess my point is we all want more. We all want to be greater than where we currently are. So when I get people that say, wow, it's amazing how much you work, or how do you book so often? And I don't think I book that much. I have larger goals, right? So I think that is very important for young people like yourselves, for any parents that are on this chat, any young adults. I think the best thing that you can do for yourself right now, as soon as you get off of this call, or even after the next call, I think that the number one thing that you can do is write, and it seems silly, but it's so true, is write down what you want. I went to this is strange. My dad often goes to these mediums, these psychics, if you will. And I remember listening to a tape once, and this gentleman was able to say something about me to my dad on a tape. And I listened to it and I thought, wow, that is real. That is true. And there's no way my dad could have known that at that time. I said, Dad, I want to go to this psychic too. I want to figure out what's going on in my career, what's going on in my life. I want to know where I'm going to be. Okay. Went to this guy. He started a tape for me, and he stopped the tape and he says, well, I can't, for some reason, I'm having trouble reading you. I thought, that's weird. He's like, okay, let's stop. He stops everything. I'm like, wow, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? He's like, okay, can you do me a favor? Have you written down your goals this year? And he asked me as if he knew that I was going to say yes. And I said no. And he said, oh, okay, cool. Okay. So then we stopped and he says, okay, it was on a phone call, by the way. And he's like, I want you to get off the phone. I want you to write down your goals. And he's like, the explanation he gave was, how am I supposed to know where you're going to be if you don't even know where you want to be? Right. So I think that's so important for you, is like to just write down what you want and make them achievable goals, things that you can do this weekend, you know, things that you can complete today, tomorrow, and in the near future, is really setting yourself up to do well. And you gotta, this town is about confidence, right? And what is confidence? You know, confidence is self-belief. Confidence is power in oneself, right? So I think you gotta, as soon as I started walking into auditions with, you know, that mentality of, I'm here and I'm here to do a service for you, and I'm helping the production out. I'm here to be a benefit to, you know, the brand. I'm here to be a benefit to the storyline. I'm here to be a benefit to the production team, to this particular director or casting director. As soon as I switched that up, I swear people started taking notice. Casting directors, I feel like casting directors can smell fear. They're like, you know, lions in a way. They can smell. They can. I think better yet, they can feel the energy of the people who walk into their room. They have that like sixth sense to know whether or not these actors who they're having in have been there before, right? So it's our job, even though we're shaking inside and our nerves are going crazy and we're thinking about the lines and we're trying to, you know, remember the song lyrics or remember the dance steps or what have you. I think it's important to be able to flip that on its head and say, you know what, I'm not nervous right now, and I'm going to choose to portray that I'm not nervous, even though inside we're human beings, right? We all pump the same blood, right? We all have heartbeats. You know, we all have, you know, we all feel the same things. So I think it's important to note that. I don't think that ever really goes away. If it does, I think ask yourself if you're passionate about you know, this particular type of work. So, but yeah, I think it's important to really understand who you are and how you fit. So you just gotta I used to ask people all the time, like, what do you think I can, like some of my best homies, I would ask, like, hey, so what do you think I could, what characters do you think I can play on TV? And, you know, you get different things from different people. I'll go to my grandma and I'll be like, hey, grandma, what do you think I could play on TV? And she's like, oh, mijo, I think you can play the, you know, the handsome, you know, the handsome boy who is the lead and the love interest, you know. So, you know, you obviously you want to ask people who are not as biased maybe as your grandma, but it is an interesting perspective. So I think that goes to my next point, is that you have to kind of know how you fit, right? For me, I understand that I look a certain way, and in the commercial world, I tend to play the ethnic guy who you can't really tell what he is. He looks Latin, but he can be Indian. He can be like Filipino as well. So definitely ambiguous in a way. So I think for you, it's important to know how you fit. Which piece of the puzzle are you, and how can you give your energy to whatever brand or production or storyline? How do you, how are you an asset to, you know, whatever show or whatever TV, you know, whatever you are auditioning for? I think that's really important to kind of to understand that, right? Confidence is king. I went over that a little bit, but how does acting for theater differ from acting from film? I love that. Okay, so some of the best actors, you know, I think some of the best actors will tell you that there is no difference. There shouldn't be any difference, right? You're living within a character, and you're being that character, and your job as the actor is to portray that character, no matter what setting you're in. This is a my job. I'm a professional feeler. Okay, basically, it's my job to feel whatever is happening with the character. It's my job to feel whatever is happening on stage or in front of a camera. That is my job. As long as I feel, we should be able to see it. A lot of time I shoot headshots as well, and a lot of time I'll work with clients, and you know, you're kind of, you know, holding the camera and you're trying to instruct them to feel something inside. And you hear the term all the time, gateways to the soul. Our eyes are the gateways to our souls, right? Couldn't be more true. On stage or on film, it's very important. Now, that being said, there are little technical things that you can do to better portray how you feel. I think ultimately the baseline is knowing exactly what your character is feeling, even if it's a commercial too. I think, you know, if you're selling Taco Bell and you need to bite into a taco and it needs to taste good, and you want to portray that, you know, this taco is the best taco that you've ever had, you need to actually kind of believe that in that moment, you know, and then we can see that there's joy, right? But on stage, I think you have to be able to play to the back of the house, right? I'm sure you young actors and parents have heard that before. You play to the back of the house. I think it just has to do with size. It has to do with volume at times. So you're having a camera right in your face, right? So how do you move forward with being your character when there's something right in your face? And the trick is you just set everything in the bathroom. That's a tip. And I was on set of Scandal, and you know who does that is Kerry Washington. Kerry Washington actually she literally just whispers, and they have the microphone, you know, lavalier hooked up right here. She has the boom mic like right in her face, just out of frame. And I just remember thinking like, oh my, what's if we have a scene? Sometimes I'll have to like, I'm like, oh, she said her line. It's my line. Okay. So I think that's the interesting thing about some TV and film is that I think it's just a volume thing. It's the room that you set yourself in. In the theater, I think you set yourself in the cathedral because everyone has to hear you, right? So that's one difference between acting for film and acting on stage. But ultimately, I don't think the feeling should be any different. You know, I don't think it's a fine line to balance. I think acting for film. How do you prepare for a role? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I think ultimately you kind of have to live in the space that has been created for you, right? So in order to prepare a character, you go with what you've been given, right? And huge tip would be to read everything that you receive. You've heard it before in a commercial and on TV and film, and in TV and film, you read the script. You really just, the writer is giving you little Post-it notes essentially that are hidden in the script, and it's the actor's job to kind of pull from that and then say, okay, those are cool, but how about this? You know, as soon as I started walking into a theatrical TV and film room and into an audition and having kind of ideas, you know, and having, you know, kind of some feedback on what I think, you know, I can bring to the character, because I'm unique. Like there's only one of me, right? So I think I think I wish we had more time. We could literally I could go all day and talk about this, but you know, how do you bring the best parts of you to what you're doing. And it's a very tricky thing, but you memorize the lines, you write little notes to yourself, little idiosyncrasies about this particular character, right? And you kind of bring the best parts of you to that character. Some of the best actors play themselves. Al Pacino plays himself in every single role. Matthew McConaughey plays himself in every single role. Come on. What is your favorite role you've played? Yeah, it was in a play that I did. It was more of an adult storyline. It was a play that I did in college, and I got to, really, this particular play, we're on stage the entire time, and I had to play a heroin addict, and really kind of being enthralled in that. I think that addiction. It's a full body experience, and you're on stage the entire time. One of the most thrilling things I've ever done. And you're kind of, it was a really powerful show. It was called Balm and Gilead. I played a character by the name of Fick, and one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had as an actor, and it was on stage. Yes. Any other questions? Any other actors, young actors, parents, anybody who is in this chat right now? If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask me any. I know we're running out of time, but hold your questions to the end. But yeah, man, any advice for people wanting to perform but very small resume? Yeah, the resume. Yeah, no agent. Yeah, I know that's the big question. No, it's a normal question to have, but I think it's exciting to be an actor right now, especially starting out. My fiance is just starting out as well. And I finally got her into my commercial agent. So she's now represented by a commercial agent. We just worked a job together as a couple, as a real couple. And but I will say that should never be a hindrance for you, right? So you know what you can do, right? If you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, she is, so I'm sorry for this, she is a badass, okay? Excuse my French. She is a badass. And I think that's important for you to kind of know and understand, and what you can kind of put together. I would suggest putting yourself on tape. If you want to be in TV and film, you got to, in order for people to know what you can do, they have to see what you can do, right? So I think you got to put yourself on tape. You got, even professional athletes have to put their best plays. They do a highlight reel, right? Then other coaches come and they see, what that particular athlete can do. It's same thing. Very small resume and no agent. And you know what? There used to be a book of agents and managers. It used to be called Call Sheet. And I remember sending out my first mailing to all these agents. And I sent my resume, I sent a picture, I sent a reel, I sent everything. Now it's exciting because it's all digital now, right? Do you have IMDb Pro? If you don't have IMDb Pro and you're wanting to be an actor, hugely suggest having IMDb Pro. It's a subscription that you pay for, but you can actually split that with some of your friends, and you guys can. That's what we did in college. We all split it, and so I paid like $5 or something, and then we split it with like a few other people, and we all had the login, and we used IMDb Pro to go down and see, okay, so Zac Efron, okay, who is Zac Efron represented by? And then you go and you can see their manager and agent, and then you're like, okay, cool. So you kind of have to know where you want to go, right? If you want to be on the Disney Channel, look at other actors who are on the Disney Channel right now. Look up their agents and managers and say, hey, okay, let me see here. Oh, they're represented by this person. Oh, okay, go down the list, right? And if you want an agent who is similar or knows the business to get that particular actor work, maybe they can work for you as well. And obviously anybody on this chat who wants to reach out to me on my Instagram, please feel free. I love that. I'm such a nerd for this stuff. If you have any other questions and want to talk to me outside of this forum, I'm okay with that. Yeah, yeah. The virus has been a huge. To answer your question, Charlotte, this has been a nightmare for any person in the entertainment industry currently, because it's shut down, right? Everything was shut down for a few months here. But being back to work with we went and shot a print ad recently, and we just had to wear masks, and it was a limited amount of people on set, and we had to make sure we're washing our hands and being careful. My my fiance had to wear the face shield on set because she didn't want to mess up her makeup, right? Kind of a strange feeling, but nothing we can't do, man. There is nothing that I can't do when it comes to the work, right? Even if it's just a print job. And I don't think there are any small jobs, you know. If ever you get an opportunity to be on set, just this is a phrase that I use, and I say it before auditions. I say it before we go on set, and I even pass this on to my fiance as well. You're happy to be there, and you're easy to work with. I say that to myself. It's like a little mantra that I have. I'm happy to be here, and I'm easy to work with. I think if you go with that, and if you really another mantra I have is really just find the joy. You know, if you don't have joy in what you're doing, seems silly. It seems kind of cheesy, but it's really not. If you're having joy with what you're doing, the world is your oyster. Do you ever get nervous? Of course. Yes, I always get nervous. Like I said, I'm a human being, you know. We all have the same heartbeats that are going through our bodies, right? So now the best, most successful actors are those who kind of figure out how to manipulate those feelings, right? How do you transition those nerves into energy, into positive energy for yourself, for your own forward motion? And it's tricky. It's tricky, but I think you have to ask yourself, why do you feel nervous? If you're feeling nervous because you're not prepared, that's one thing. That's your fault. That's your fault that you feel nervous because you didn't do the work prior to going in to feel like you're good, like you're ready to go. So that's one of the huge things. I think preparation is the top thing that you can do to eliminate some of those nerves, to really do the prep work, right? But then also you have to understand that these casting directors, these directors and creative people who are behind the table auditioning, or auditioning you, or yes, they want you to do well. They want to find whoever they're looking for. They want to be done with it. The casting process is tedious for casting. They want to find their person and move on. And so that they can get to the production aspect of it, right? So in order to understand your nerves, you have to understand why you feel nervous. Ask yourself that, you know. Do the work prior to going in order to alleviate some of those nerves. You're going to have a little nervous energy, but once you're in the room, I think as long as you understand that it is a collaborative effort, it is not just you against the world. As long as you understand that the other people on the other side of that table genuinely, even if they don't seem like they do, because a lot of the time they're doing other things and they're having to check off little things and they're having to, you know, they have a million things going on. I think in order to get past that, you have to understand why. Ask yourself why. That I think that is a good question to ask. Hi, Claire. If you could work with anyone, living or dead, who would it be? Oh man, Sidney Poitier, man. That would have been cool. Robin Williams, Al Pacino, all the greats, man. I've worked with some cool people. I've worked with some really cool people. Working with Kerry Washington on Scandal was a dream. She is just the sweetest person, so powerful on set. I got to meet, and this is a lesson about preparation. I got to audition for a little show called Stranger Things. You guys know that show? I got to audition for that, and I auditioned for months and months and months and months and months. I had 2 scenes, and I ran these 2 scenes about 100 million times. They flew me out to Atlanta where they filmed the show, and I was auditioning for a character. I think is 11 or 12, or I'm sorry, like the character's name was 8, or it's like one of the previous um, numbers or whatever. And it was a screen test, right? So you go and you're in the house where you know, if you guys know the show, got to walk into the house, got to meet the directors, and I sit down and I'm so prepared. I ran this scene a million times, and I go in and then Millie Bobby Brown walks in, who, by the way, she's just so powerful, you know, of an energy, right? And it's not a cold energy. It was a very warm energy. You know, she wanted to do well. She wanted to get going. She wanted to do the scene. I had a scene with her, right? And we go and do it. The, you know, casting is there. Duffer Brothers are there, and they say action, and I completely forgot the first line. I don't know what happened. My nerves kind of took over in that moment, and there's where the lesson. Okay, so the lesson learned is there is such a thing as preparing too much, right? For me, I feel like I ran it a million times that at some point it's like, okay, like stop caring so much. I cared so much about getting everything perfect, and the way I wanted it to be, that I lost sight of the joy of the situation. And then I got home and my agent called me and they're like, oh, you didn't get it. And, you know, and then you think, oh, what's wrong with me? What, you know, what could I have done differently? I learned later that they cast a girl in my characters. So it had nothing to do with me at all. It had nothing to do with my quote unquote over preparation or no preparation, or basically what I'm trying to say is, and this is something I say to myself, don't be careless, just care less about it. I think casting really relates to the people that walk in the room that are like so nonchalant, you know, that they act as though they've been there a million times, and it's you know, they want to hire someone who is easy to work with, who has done it, you know, who is comfortable in themselves to say, hey, like, screw the lines, let's just do it, you know, or, you know, let's figure it out, let's get it done, you know. And that's that energy that I think is important to have, that air of confidence within yourself that nothing can shake you. Now we're all humans, and we all feel nerves. So any other questions? Oh yeah, if you guys have any other questions, please. I think we only have a couple more minutes here. She has backstage. Yeah, IMDb Pro. I mean, I'm on it all the time. I'm trying to scroll back up here, but this has been fun, guys. Thank you guys so much. I don't, honestly, I don't, this is cool. My fiance is going to laugh at me. I've never done a live before. This is my first live, guys. But yeah, I think this industry, it's not a kind of an overnight thing, you know. It's a long drawn out addiction. I like to think of it as a, you know, I'm addicted, you know. I'm addicted to this, to the preparation. I'm addicted to being on set, and I love lighting, and I love cinematography and videography, and you know, it's something that I'm super passionate about, and that I'll continue to do for the rest of time. So to all of you that want to be, you know, involved in this industry, I think just find the joy in the work. Find, you know, intrigue in others. You know, don't compare yourself to other people. You are very unique, and yourself. And that's what's special, right? That truly is what's special. So I think in order to succeed in this industry, you have to um, get to know yourself, and that is harder to do than you even think. So good luck with that, and you know, I really truly think that if you want something, if you want something bad enough, you will do the work to get that done. You know, and the people that do the work oftentimes over they pass up the people who initially were the most talented person in the room. Talent can only get you so far. I think it is one thing to be, there are a lot of talented people in the world. It's what you do with that talent, right? So get yourself seen, and and just know that you are good enough how you are. And you know, if anybody ever tells you that you are not good enough just the way you are, they're not talking about you. They're talking about themselves, right? So just understand that why people do the things they do. If you guys really want to learn about the human condition, you know, I took a sociology class in college, and it's one of the coolest classes I've ever taken, because you understand the way the brain thinks, right? How why we do the things we do as human beings, right? And a lot of it stems back to what our parents taught us, you know, how we learned, and you know, so on and so forth. But I can go on for days. But thank you guys so much for having me, and good luck to y'all, and happy booking.